long time. During that period, I only met his parents on 3 occasions. However, after getting married, Henry's parents, especially his mother, have an overbearing hold on every aspect of our relationship. We can't even go out to eat without consulting his mother.
Now hold on, I think that's a bit of an exaggeration. I mean, my mother is a very knowledgeable person, and I value her opinion. The only reason that I consult her on anything is for our own benefit.
But the thing is, I didn't know about any of this until after getting married. I mean, I know when you marry someone, you find out new things about them, but I never would have guessed Henry had such a bad mother complex.
You know that I don't have a mother complex, just a complex mother. My mother is a very intelligent woman who happens to be gifted with psychic abilities.
Or so she thinks.
Kathleen, please, let me speak. When my mother turned 7, she realized that she had the ability to predict the future. As she grew up, she perfected her abilities and became a professional fortune teller at a traveling circus. There she met a handsome clown who was a master of gymnastics. They fell in love, retired from the circus, got married, and had me. Now, I'll admit, her background is a bit odd and eccentric, but she has always been a loving and empathetic mother whose only concern was to ensure the best for her son.
Except you left out the part about how your mother's delusion of psychic abilities has caused you to surrender all of your free choice, and since we're together, it's affecting me too.
What do you mean? No, it hasn't.
Last week we wanted to go to my friend's party, but Henry's mother said something bad was going to happen and that we should stay and have dinner with her instead.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that we did because your friend went hysterical and trashed the entire house. She could have hurt someone.
She only did that because we told everyone something bad was going to happen, so no one went. She's a lonely person, and she spent a month planning this party. If we had just gone to the party and ignored Henry's mother, none of that would have happened, and now she wouldn't be considered crazy by everyone.
Kathleen, I don't think you understand how psychic predictions work, okay? My mother has never been wrong.
This is what I mean. Henry's normally not this credulous. He's actually really intelligent when it comes to everything except his mother's predictions. Well, honestly, I think the fact that Henry grew up being told constantly that his mother is psychic by his own mother made him incapable of thinking otherwise.
I think you're completely oversimplifying it. I didn't grow up being told that she was psychic. I grew up watching her make predictions that always came true. Look, if she was wrong more than she was right, then I'd gladly change my belief. But the fact is that she is never wrong. Remember that time of Thanksgiving?
That does not prove anything.
Kathleen and I had our first Thanksgiving together as newlyweds at my parents' house. I thought it would be a good opportunity for my mother and Kathleen to spend time together preparing the meal, since they'd only been around each other during the wedding. So, as they were cooking, Kathleen was looking through the cupboards for a specific measuring spoon. My mother handed it to her and warned her against blindly searching through the cupboards or that she might be bitten by a ferret. But Kathleen just laughed it off. Later, Kathleen was searching for a certain pan to cook with. My mother was in the other room, and so, ignoring her hateful words, Kathleen began searching through the cupboards again, only this time she came upon the cupboard where my mother keeps her pet ferret. She has many exotic pets, mind you. So, this startled the creature, who then lashed out at her and then bit her on the earlobe. And it was a good thing that my mother knew that it was going to happen, because she was able to come in there, come to the rescue, take the ferret away, put it back in its proper place where it originally came from.
She only came because she heard me screaming. I thought she was being metaphorical when she said I might be bitten by a ferret. If she had just told me that she keeps a pet ferret in the cupboard, I wouldn't have opened it.
That is not the point, Kathleen. The point is that my mother predicted the future, but you did not believe her, and so you were hurt. That's why I don't want to take that risk for the both of us, so I make sure that everything we do is safe.
Henry, your mother doesn't predict the future. She says vague, abstract things, then your brain makes a random connection believing that was what she was referring to. Or most often, her predictions end up being self-fulfilling prophecies. Yes. Okay, first of all, I want to say I wasn't kidding when I said Henry's mother raised him to believe she was psychic. Before he was born, she used her abilities to create an exhaustive timeline mapping out his whole life from birth until death. And then as he grew up, she read it to him every day until he was incapable of believing anything else would happen.
She only did that to protect me, Kathleen.
To protect you from what, Henry? For making your own decisions?
What do you mean? I make all of my own decisions. It's just that she knows them before I make them. All of those things would have happened whether she had made the timeline or not.
No, they wouldn't, Henry. You only make the decisions you make because your mother says you'll make them. One day he's going to wake up and realize he spent his whole life surrendering his free will to his mother, and he's going to realize he has no idea how to make any of his own decisions, and it's going to terrify him.
Come on, that won't happen.
Your mother even says it will happen, Henry. It says in the timeline he's going to die at age 57 from committing suicide after he realizes he spent his whole life doing what his mother told him to do.
Oh, so now you believe that my mother's psychic.
I just want our relationship to be more about us rather than having his mother involved all the time, especially when it gets dangerous, like that time you broke your arm.
She had nothing to do with that.
Okay, so here's what happened. After we moved into our house, Henry, out of nowhere, decided he wanted to get a second job, even though we were doing great financially as it was. So he gets a part-time job installing satellite dishes on the rooftops of houses. One day, he accidentally wears bowling shoes to work, and needless to say, he falls off the roof and breaks his arm. The way his mother fits into this is apparently the whole event had been predicted before Henry was born. Apparently in the timeline it says that after Henry gets married, he will get a job working on roofs and will fall and break a bone after wearing bad shoes.
So my mother made another correct prediction. I don't see what the problem is.
Henry, you obviously made calculated efforts to make sure that your mother's prediction came true. As far as I can tell, almost all of the predictions have been self-fulfilled in this manner.
Yes. No, I don't know. She's a very independent person, and it's one of the reasons I was attracted to her in the first place. In fact, my mother even predicted that I would be attracted to, intelligent and independent women, but I just wish that she would see things the way that I do.
Henry, you're only attracted to independent women because you're such a dependent person and need to be told what to do all the time, and that's because of your mother. I wish Henry would become his own person instead of listening to her all the time.
But if I did that, I would risk putting myself in a terrible situation without knowing it.
That's what life is. You don't know what's going to happen, and sometimes it's scary, but the alternative, giving up your free choices, it strips your life of meaning.
I'm still not sure.
I don't know. It's really up to him. I could force him to stop listening to his mother, but then I'd just be replacing her in her overbearing role. It would certainly make things easier for me, but what I really want is for Henry to be happy as himself. And will things work out? I don't know. His mother did predict that we'd get divorced after 5 years of marriage because I'd get fed up with him always listening to her predictions, and he'd get frustrated that I don't believe his mother's psychic.
Kathleen, I don't want to get a divorce.
If your mother's always right, do you really have a choice?
Look, I don't know much about any of this stuff, okay? But I do know that I love you, and I don't need my psychic mother to tell me that.
I love you too. But your mother did predict that you'd fall in love and marry me, right?
Well, I don't think it really matters.
I said